sees the child, they come into the atmosphere or the consciousness that water is around. When the child is hungry, because the child is defect in speaking, the child will express speaking in tears. So by the cry, the mother will know that this child is crying because the child has wearied, or because the child is hungry. When the child is sleeping and wakes up, how the mother knows that the child is awake from the sleep is what? Is what? That is because that is the way, at that very moment, the baby can describe or communicate her feelings. Are you also aware that in the process of that child growing, that child will face an affliction? The aim of the affliction that child will face, or the challenge rather, that child will face is not to kill the child. The aim of the challenge that child will face is actually an evidence that the child is growing. So when the baby's body begins to become hot, it's not because the devil wants to kill the child. The body becoming hot is a sign that things are growing in the baby's body. So the doctor will say, is he up to 6 months? You say, yes, okay, his teeth is about to come out. But because the mother is a caring mother, she will be crying when the child is sick. Doctor, the eyes are green, the eyes are blue. It's normal. The doctor knows that what is happening to the child, the aim is for self-realization. So the teeth will begin to come out. The child begins to crawl, no longer sitting down. The child crawls. A time comes, the child will want to walk. Stand up, fall down, and cry. Stand up, fall down, and cry. Stand up, fall down, and cry. You will be an insensitive mother if you beat that child and stop the child from trying to walk. So although the process may seem to be painful, although the process may seem to be death-threatening, the aim is that the Lord wants to work out something from that child, and it's called self-realization. The three basic afflictions every man must go through. The first affliction I want to bring to our understanding is that there is a difference between a temptation and a trial. There is a difference between what? A temptation and what? A trial. Whenever you face a temptation, God is not involved. A temptation is a function of your lust and the plan of the devil for you at work. A temptation is a function, the unveiling of your lust and the plan of the devil against you at work. A trial, on the other hand, is the unveiling of the plan of God for you, and the school fees you have to pay to enter that next phase is the school of affliction. How do I mean, sir? Are you aware that while Saul was still on the throne, Samuel had already anointed David king? Talk to me. While Saul was still on the throne, Samuel had already done what? anointed David as a king. Is that true? Now, hear me. Hear me. Who pronounced Saul king? Talk to me. It was Samuel, right? Would it have cost Samuel anything? Anything? The day he anointed David king, would it have cost Samuel anything to come out and say, "Hear you, O Israel, David is now your king"? Will it have cost him anything? Huh? So why didn't Samuel announce David king immediately after anointing him? Talk to me. Your altar is calling me. Oh God, my secret place is calling you. Oh God, my altar is calling you. Oh God, so speak from your heavens, and the earth will hear. Daddy, speak, and the earth will hear. My altar, my altar. So between the temptation and the trial is hidden a code. Between the temptation and the trial is hidden a code. And the code between the both of them is called the voice of God. Why didn't Samuel, you have anointed this boy king? Why? It would have cost you nothing to use your prophetic office. And say, by the voice of the Lord, or by the word of the Lord, hear ye, O Israel, behold your king. It would have cost him nothing. But you see, the first king Saul pronounced was a king that was not trained. The voice of God. The first king Saul pronounced was a king that was not trained. The first king Saul pronounced was a king that was not skilled in the doctrine of obedience. The first king Saul pronounced was a king that didn't understand what it means to be a servant or a peasant. The first king Saul pronounced was a king that didn't understand that obedience is better than sacrifice. So the next king Saul was to pronounce was a king that was to come and correct the error of the last king. The next king that Saul was to pronounce was a king that was to do what his responsibility was to come and correct the error of the past. So he needed to go through a school, and that school didn't have a classroom. That school only had a journey. And the journey was the way of Adullam. The journey was the school of affliction. The journey was the school of tears. Woe betide David if after being anointed king, he forced himself to be announced without going through training. It would have been worse than Saul. Woe betide David if after being anointed king, he didn't go through some basic training that will grant him wisdom, stature, influence, authority to be a king that does not need compartment to be a king. So he had to go through the process, and the first process he had to go through was the process of saving a sitting king. That was the first process. Now I have made you king, so that you will understand what it means to be a slave, so that you will understand what it means to be a servant. I will make you first of all to go and serve a king. The reason why Saul had the evil spirit on him was not because not because God was wicked. That was a plan to bring David close to the throne, so that you will understand what it means to tell a man, yes sir. You will understand what it means when a king comes in, you stand up. You will understand what it means to have the word of the king on you, and you must perform it. He was meant to be around the king, to understand what it means to be on the throne and yet again be humble. So he went to the king, and the king mocked him. So that tomorrow, when you sit on that same throne and you want to mock somebody, remember how Saul treated you and how you felt. Remember how Saul treated you and how you felt. When you want to shout on somebody, yes sir, remember how Saul shouted at you and how you felt. Process. He took him to the process of being a shepherd boy. If you cannot donate your life for animals that cannot pay you back, you won't do the same for human beings. So he took him to the process of fighting with a bear and a lion with his bare hands. Oga, at least I have seen a lion once, real life. I've seen one. Bro, I think it's scary. Have you seen a bulldog when he's angry? Huh? That is just 1% of what it means to see a lion. I've seen one in a zoo. Sir, the eye, you can't look at it. The eyes are black with gray, with black with some red color inside. You can't look. Forget the cage that they put the lion on, sir. Forget that cage that I saw there. As we were going, I was looking back again. Now imagine a boy now fought a lion. This guy that fought a lion was not a trained soldier. He was not a trained soldier. He was a shepherd. Fought a lion. Why did he fight the lion? Because lion came to carry one sheep. Now imagine where he died, and then I asked him in the other side. He said, "Why did you die?" He said, "Because a sheep was eaten, and I went to rescue." You went to rescue a sheep, not a human being. He went through the process. Be careful not to abort your training seasons. Be careful not to abort your training seasons. These days, I have stopped being too compassionate with people. If God is dealing with someone, I don't step in. It is your training season. Be careful not to abort your training season. Imagine if he had aborted his training season. The day Goliath showed up, do you know what gave David the bonus to fight Goliath? Talk to me. A man who has stood face to face with lion, what did you go fear? A man who has stood face to, do you know what? Okay, let me just show you. Just imagine when you enter a big man's house and you didn't know there was a dog inside. Just imagine it. And then you knock the gate man says, go in and guard away for you. And as you enter, lo and behold, 2 hungry guys came out with their dogs on one side. And all they did was, you cannot run, you cannot stand, you will be. Now that was what happened to David. I hope you know that lion don't fight you with invitation card. They take you unawares. So imagine how David felt when he attacked the lion. He didn't care about his own life. He cared about the sheep. So the day Goliath showed up, the qualification to fight Goliath was a man who has gone through the training of the wilderness. That was the qualification. The qualification to fight Goliath was meant to be a man who has experienced life in the backside of the bush. And Eliab didn't have it. Saul didn't have it. Abinadab didn't have it. None of the army men had it. The only man qualified was David. And David, and unknown to David, that what he was going through was actually an affliction that would lead to his promotion. Yet he went through it. And the day he faced Goliath face to face, he reminded himself. He said, you come against me, you come against me with bow and arrow. Thank you, sir, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts. What Saul and other army generals didn't have in the battlefield